Recently, Sean Strickland beat Israel Adesanya in a dominant 5-round performance to take the UFC middleweight title. Izzy had only just recently won the title back from Alex Pereira, who he ended up losing it to a little bit earlier this year. Although I wanted Sean to win, I didn't think he would, and I especially didn't think he would in the way that he did. He really made Izzy look 5 steps behind. When he did win, I expected everyone to give him the props that he deserves, but I don't know, I guess I should have known better than that, because a lot of people were saying that it was a fluke or that Izzy was just having an off night. This is absolutely untrue, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. Before I get to it, I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm not some kind of Strickland superfan or anything like that. I really didn't know about the guy until his appearance on Joe Rogan, and like I said, I didn't even think he was going to end up winning this fight. I do like the guy, but I'm not here because of some kind of bias that I have. I'm not upset or anything like that. It's just crazy to see the hoops that people will jump through and the ways they'll contort themselves to try and fit into these weird narratives. And I'm also not trying to say that Sean beats Izzy every single time they fight. They could fight again, and Adesanya could make some adjustments and end up KOing Sean. That's just kind of how the fight game works. But on September 9th, 2023, Sean was the better man in every way, not because Izzy wasn't himself, but because Sean was himself. Israel Adesanya is a one-dimensional striker who hides this by being a flashy counter-striker. Everything he does comes from his jab. He flicks it out there hoping to bait some kind of reaction, and whatever you do, he capitalizes off of. Early on in his career, people had a hard time dealing with him because he was so good at it, and this is what led to the first few fights that he had, where he looked really exciting and there were a few cool KOs and things like that. And then, Yoel Romero happened. 25 minutes of staring, with the most exciting action in the whole fight being an overhand right from Yoel before they returned to the staring thing again. The reason for this is because Yoel made the mistake of thinking that if he didn't play into Izzy's game, then Izzy would become the aggressor. But the thing is, Israel Adesanya doesn't fight on anyone's terms other than his own. And of course, Izzy blamed Yoel for this, as though Yoel did anything wrong by not running straight into punches. Much like the spoiled kid you grew up with in your old neighborhood, you have to play by his rules at all times, and if you don't, then you're the bad guy. So what does this all mean in terms of Sean Strickland? Well, it's actually really simple if you boil it down. Izzy can only fight if he feels comfortable enough to evade whatever punches you're throwing at him and return with something of his own. He's a Taekwondo-style point fighter who uses precision and traps to score the occasional KO and look very impressive doing it. Whether you're a boxer, a wrestler, a Muay Thai fighter, or any other archetype in fighting, there's always going to be limitations to your style and strategy, and here are Israel Adesanya's. If you fight like Izzy and you have to fight somebody like this, you are going to have trouble with them. And tell me if any of these traits sound vaguely familiar. Forward pressure meant to make the opponent move backwards. Weaponizing range to make the opponent uncomfortable. Use of ring generalship to keep your opponent up against the fence. Compact punches with little overextension and no overcommitment. Good defense in the pocket. Now that kind of sounds like someone we know, doesn't it? And if you take the most important parts of that list, which would be forward pressure and a willingness to get hit, it almost starts to sound like somebody else we know too. So here's the math laid right out in front of you, and if you need more, we can go ahead and take a look at the fight itself. Izzy comes out and looks like he's trying to take in info, as he always does. He's a little active at first, but eventually he slows his output. Sean walks him into a corner and starts touching him up. One of those touches leads to a knockdown, followed by 25 undefended and unanswered strikes from Sean. Izzy looks like he's still a little confused, which is uncharacteristic of him. He opens up a little bit more, but he just can't seem to really land anything serious. Sean starts to become a little meek here, but he's still making Izzy miss. People gave Izzy this round, which I thought was strange at first, but after rewatching it, I actually do agree. Although it still didn't really feel like Izzy won the round so much as it felt like Sean lost it. If there was a fluke that night, it was Izzy winning round 2. Much like round 1, Izzy starts off trying to flow, but ends up looking puzzled as he continues to get walked back. Sean looks more comfortable by now, and by the end of the round, he's letting his hands go and landing thudding shots seemingly at will. Izzy is just stumped by now. He doesn't know what to do or how to do it. He keeps trying to be evasive, but Sean keeps backing him up against the cage to the point where Izzy is standing with his feet square. When Izzy refuses to lean on the cage, Sean uses teeps to push him the last 10% of the way, which if you pay attention, he was doing the whole fight. When Sean lands, you can see Izzy doesn't really like it. Interestingly enough, in between rounds 4 and 5, Izzy was speaking to his corner and said, "I can't find my jab, but also he just leaned out the way." This round was more of the same of round 4. Izzy tries to get offense going but ends up running away, Sean is chasing, and as the horn rings, Sean is pumped because he knows he just dominated his way to a decision victory. Which is significant because winning a championship fight by decision is one of those things they tend to make harder to do than in a regular fight. We've all seen the examples of robberies by the judges followed by fanboys of the champion saying, if you want to be the champ, you gotta beat the champ. So with all that laid out right there, it's absolutely insane to me that anyone could even so much as imply that Sean did not beat the best Izzy. The outlook everyone had leading up to the fight was that Sean would try his best, but he would get beat by someone the UFC was trying to hype up to be the next Anderson Silva. Even during the walkout, the commentary team was trying to craft a narrative where Sean was a dead man and he knew it, while Izzy was confident and ready to do what he always does. Naturally, the fanboys like to pretend they forgot about that. I don't think Izzy deserves an immediate rematch, considering that he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights, and he didn't successfully defend the belt the second time he had it. And not only that, but it's not like he lost a razor-thin decision or there was a questionable stoppage or anything like that. He just got dominated. Of course, for some weird reason, Izzy fans are having a really hard time coming to terms with those facts. They saw him do that bow and arrow thing after he finally beat Pereira, and I guess they thought it meant something. I don't know. Dana needs to get his head right though. Nobody outside of Nigeria cares about that rematch, and there's far more compelling matches to be made at middleweight with dudes that actually deserve it. That's all I have for you today though. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and also sub for more. If you have anything to say, leave a comment down below. And if you have any questions for me, hit me up on Instagram at ScottSullivanMMA. Other than that, thank you very much for watching and good luck out there.